Hello and welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. We are your hosts, Vidas
and Aušra Pinkevičienė.
We've been mastering secrets of organ playing for more than 20 years and sharing them on this blog since 2011.
On this show, which we create from our home in Vilnius, Lithuania, we strive to help you grow in every area of organ playing, including practice, technique, repertoire, sight reading, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory, harmony, and many others.
Our hope is to help you become a complete musician, or what we call as total organist, a program which we have created to help you reach your dreams faster than you would do on your own.
If you are new here, we invite you to subscribe to receive free updates of this blog at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video how to master any organ composition and 10-day organ playing mini course.
And now let's go to the podcast for today. So I'm here with Auke Jongbloed, talking with an organist from the Netherlands over the internet, and I'm in my church, and Auke is my friend from the Steem platform. We got to know each other from his participation in our weekly Secrets of Organ Playing contest, and I was so, surprised and delighted to hear enough German and a little bit Dutch-oriented organ music presence on Steem, 17th century, even older probably, and he has a business of transcribing old manuscripts into modern notation, which is called Partitura Organum. So thank you so much, Auke, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vidas.
It's so curious to see you sitting behind your organ bench at home in your studio, probably. You have electronic organ, right? Virtual organ, probably with samples from instruments, historical instruments. I especially like the Dutch, I think, tradition instruments. It's suited very much for your works. And the last video you released was a preambulum from the Linar manuscript, right? You played it in a way that it sounds like Scheidemann might have written it, right? It's anonymous, obviously, but you did a great job of registering the piece and articulating. I'm so amazed, and we will be talking more in detail about this.
Okay.
So let's start our conversation, Auke, with your story. Do you remember the first time you fell in love with the organ? That would be very interesting to hear.
I don't think there's a particular moment. I've always, as far as I can remember back, loved the instrument. I'm from Protestant origin, so we went every Sunday to the church, and I can remember I moved my feet along with the lower tones before I even knew they were indeed played with the feet. And the instrument has always been my favorite. I don't know why. I don't come from a family of organists, so it's just me, I think. But I've always liked it when other kids recorded ABBA. At the time, I recorded organ music from the radio.
Interesting. Other kids would play football or basketball or something else, and you would play the organ, right?
No, we didn't have an organ at home, so I started with piano. I started playing the organ when I was probably 16 or something, not before that. Before that, I played the piano.
You have very good manual technique, and of course, piano helps in that.
Piano helps? Oui.
Yes. How about the first instrument you encountered? Do you remember your first organ?
Yes. that was a not so good instrument. I hope the people from that church are not watching. Oh, sorry. It was not mechanical, electrical, pneumatic or something, very slow, very sluggish. Was not much of a joy to play. In later times, I played much better instruments. For me, playing on the real organ is something special because I don't have regular admittance to a real instrument. I have my electronic device in the studio.
Yes.
And most of the times, that's it.
Uh-huh.
That's why I said before, I'm a bit jealous of you, of the magnificent instrument you have there. You're a fortunate man, but of course you know that.
But of course, it's not entirely true because the Netherlands is a land of absolutely amazing instruments, right? Wherever
Yeah.
you go, you can be sure that a magnificent historical organ is within 5 miles, right?
Yes, that's true, but we are very careful, I think, of those instruments. You can't just go and play them.
Uh-huh.
Not only the very best organists get admittance to those instruments.
Mm.
When you talk about the Bafo or the Laurens, it's not easy to. At special occasions, it's possible, and then I'm not the only one who would like to participate. And one a year there is a Saturday you can play there as an amateur, and well, you have to be really, really, really quick, or all the slots are gone.
Mm-hmm.
There
Right.
is no time.
Local
So,
organists would sometimes give organ tours, right? Organ demonstrations, and at the end of the tour, they would allow visitors to play if they want. I know Peter van Dijk does this, and Zise de Vries does in his church. And this is a good practice of educating people from their community about the organ, right, and getting them an opportunity to play this historical instrument.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Auke, it's very interesting what you do today with those old manuscripts. I saw the video today, and you have the picture of the original North German organ tablature there, notation that not many people can read today, right? And even if it's written in this or stave notation, right? It still has all the clefs. You have to read all those clefs, right? So how did you get involved into Partitura Organum?
I think the idea started about 5 years ago, and that's probably because I've always been fascinated with the old manuscripts, fascinated with creating scores and the combination of scores and computers. I'm a bit of a computer nerd, you might say. Suddenly, 5 years ago, I got the idea from what if I translate old manuscripts into modern notation and I present them to the world. It's a great opportunity for me to have a reason to practice, and well, whatever I publish is great for other organists if they're interested to play. And well, it's the idea is to make available to anyone who's interested music that is not available today in modern notation.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we all can buy Bach, sure, and some of the works I publish are available in very expensive publications, and a lot of what I publish is not available at all. You can get it at my site, and never and nowhere else.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes,
And that's
it's
what I
really,
like about it.
it's really Auke, you know, good niche. I think you found a good gap of missing marketplace, right? People are wanting to play unfamiliar music, undiscovered music, probably from older times, and there is no one who can fill this gap today in print editions, right? At least in efficient way, because official publishers, a big publishing house like Berenreiter or Breitkopf or Schott or any other, Dobling and Wright, whoever publishes them today, all those European and American editions too, they take a long time to publish those pieces, to do research and collect them and to prepare for print. And since you can, you know, prepare one piece at a time, it's quite quick. You can probably prepare one piece in I don't know, 1 week or so, right? With your speed.
I can be very quick, I know. I always have the goal, what I publish, I play myself.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time goes in practicing the piece before I publish it. But if I make a volume, an edition, for example, the non-JS Bach compositions from the Neumeister manuscript, that takes me a lot of time too. 30 pieces, 35 perhaps. So, well, if you write with one piece a week, that takes almost a year for me to complete. So, but the big difference is I don't have to do it for money. I have my daytime job and it's a hobby. And it's a bit, well, perhaps idealistic. I think it's more important for those pieces to get played again and have a lot of fun transcribing them, etc., than it is for me to make money of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's more idealistic than, as you called it before, a business. Not really a business. It's, what's the English word for it?
But people still have to compensate for your time that you spend, right? Because it's a rare opportunity for them and they pay for the privilege.
No, it's for free.
And sometimes it's for free, right? You put them for free too.
I put them for free. There is no expense required. Everyone can download it, what he or she wishes.
Excellent. So Auke, you probably are working on some scores right now, right? What's your next project?
I have a lot of projects going, and I switch from time to time. At the moment, it's the linear manuscripts. I finished transcribing all the pieces from B3, not yet published them. That'll happen in the next days or weeks. There's B9, there is B1. Another series I'm working on, I haven't spent any time on it lately, but I like it, is the, what you call, pieces perhaps by Bach. You probably know the BWV, BWV, I should say in English, catalog as an anhang.
Yes. Appendix,
2.
Right? Like
appendix, yeah. And that has some, well, I think 30 pieces that are perhaps, probably not by Bach. And then there's the entire Emans catalog. And there are a number of uncatalogued pieces that are all cataloged in the libraries as perhaps Bach. I think that's a fantastic project as well. Some pieces are, I think, when you play them, when you hear them, doubtless by Bach. Other pieces are probably not at all. It just sells good if you pin the name Bach on it. That's a nice series, I think, and I'm working on transcribing the preludes from Richter. Ever heard of?
It's a rare composer, of course. Rare people not always play him, right? But he's worth rediscovering, I think, as many people are from those days, 18th century, 17th century.
Wait, yes.
And okay, when you work with such scores, where do you get the manuscripts from the libraries, or are they online?
They are online. No, I would. I wish I would be able to hold them. That would be magnificent there. But no, it's all digital copies from libraries. The Staatsbibliotheek Berlin publish a lot of what they have, and they're still working on scanning them and publishing them anew. So I work from the digital copies, and sometimes I get copies from people who know what I do, who have been to a library, and they happen to have some copies of some manuscript that is not yet available online. So that's, well, I think it's building. I'm doing this for several years. I get to know better. Steem is one way of spreading the word into the world of what I do, and it gets some traction. People get interested, and perhaps if they have something that's not available online, but is perhaps worthwhile to transcribe, they send it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got some copies of the KN209 I recently published some stuff from. It's not available online yet, but I got some copies and I work from them.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you probably know the Petrucci Music Library project, which is like IMSLP site where you could download all kinds of scores for free, right? And a lot of people put their arrangements, transcriptions over there for free for people to disseminate and spread. Are you doing this as well?
Yes, only I do it on my own website, and that's a bit vain, you could say. Then I can see how much some stuff gets downloaded or not. I could upload it all to EMSLP, and then people can download it as well, but then I don't see who uses it or how much it is used. So for now, I keep it on my own website. And in due time, when I'm getting old, I perhaps transfer it all to EMSLP so it gets for eternity.
Right.
But for now, it's my website only.
It's a good idea. Of course, people will come to your website for information and new materials. Are you getting inquiries about projects that you could do in the future? For example, a person wants to play such and such a piece but cannot find, and are they sending you messages?
No, not yet. Only what I already told you, some copies of all the manuscripts not available online, and I work from that. Not really inquiries, could you do this or that for me? Well, not yet, but who knows what might happen in the future.
I hope our conversation in the podcast version will attract more listeners, and not only today when people are listening, but in the future too, because it will be freely available for years to come online. And you will get probably visitors from the future too.
Ooh, that sounds scary.
In your website might have changed by that, but still the flow will come to you.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's really sometimes boring to play the same music all over again, right? Over and over again, the same pieces that everybody else is playing, and people want to specialize sometimes, right? Some people prefer modern music and play unknown composers, discover, for example, some obscure composer and play everything he has or she has written, and become an expert in that composer, modern composer. But some people prefer the work that you do, obscure, unknown composers, anonymous composers.
Anonymous composers, yes.
Times too. Right.
Yes, that's what I do, because the quality of most of that music, Thuringia in the 16th, 17th century, must have been a wonderful time there. The quality of music written, the quality of the music available now in those manuscripts is absurdly high quality. Not everything, but a lot of it. Even the unknown names, they write in a way that I think, whoo, it's really good. It's not Bach, he was really, really, really good, but you can appreciate he was part of tradition. He was not just some lonely genius who invented it all. He was the pinnacle of what happened before. But all those other composers, the circle around him and the circle around that was very good too. And I think sometimes that is not appreciated enough. Well, that's what I think.
Why do you think we know so few composers from those days?
Well, all the attention goes to Bach. I think a telling example is the Neumeister manuscript. Wonderful discovery of, well, about 25 new pieces of Johann Michael Bach. Yeah. All the attention went to Johann Sebastian Bach. While it was an enormous discovery. We knew only 8 pieces perhaps by Johann Michael, and suddenly there were 20 more. And if you play them, it's magnificent. You understand why Bach was such a genius. It ran wild in the family, not only he, but his pre-fathers, how do you call it in English, as well. And to me, that's a great discovery. I think that's important. That's good to know. It's nice to work with. We all know Bach, no problem. And he's very worthwhile, but the music that is slightly less in quality is still very, very good and deserves to be played and to be heard and to be enjoyed. If that's why I think, and that's why I think I can spend so much time, so much energy in transcribing them, practicing them, publishing them, etc. And I get an enormous amount of energy from it. I like it. I love doing this.
You're right, Auke. It's a great pleasure and privilege to play and transcribe this music, and it's just a pity that those composers probably were written down by just one organist, right, who copied by hand some manuscript and didn't spread. Those copies were not published. They all were done in handwriting. Otherwise it would have spread much more easily in those days, in probably in different notation, not in German notation, right? And but that didn't happen, right? Because certain people would prefer copying by hand and playing in their circles only, and their circles were very limited, not like today. We have social media. With the click of a button you can reach almost anybody, across thousands of miles. Not in those days.
No, not in those days. And there was printing, of course, but it was very, very expensive. Paper was expensive. Ink was expensive. So it got copied and, like you said, spread in small circles. And perhaps sometimes one traveled to another city and then it got spread there as well. And I think that the sad fact is an enormous amount of those manuscripts got lost. It hurts thinking about it, but I think there is still an enormous amount available, but at least the same amount got lost, and probably more.
Or we can be optimistic and hope that will be rediscovered in the future, in some attic, in the church, in the library, sometimes in the archives, in some Eastern European country where the archives is not so well preserved, ordered. In the Western Europe, it's all, probably everything is online and digitized and very orderly fashion. But in places like Lithuania, for example, Latvia, Estonia, even Eastern countries from here, you might still find something from those days.
Yes, I think so. In the Second World War, some manuscripts, a lot of manuscripts got lost, not by fire or something, but redisplaced and never found back. And we can always hope that sometimes they suddenly pop up again.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there is, for example, I think you're familiar with Johann Gottfried Stölzel. Some works of him left, very good, very high quality. But we also know that his successor at the same organ burned all the manuscripts. Old-fashioned stuff. It's just gone.
It's a pity.
It's a pity. It's a shame.
It's a small tragedy.
Well, yes, that's it. Lost forever.
Yeah, it's a different mentality, right? In those days, people would most likely play current music, contemporary music, and their contemporary music meant old to us, right? Centuries old, but it was new for them. And they wouldn't play centuries old music for them, like from 15th century, 16th century, too much, right? Unless they were published, right? Like Richard Carey or Liv d'Org, for example, or something like that, which would be preserved then.
Yes. Well, understandably, one wanted to play its own music, etc. Modern. It just, from our perspective now, when we can see how much quality got lost, it's kind of sad, I think.
It is sad. It
Yeah.
is sad, but nevertheless, you are doing a great service for the organ world with your transcriptions, because obviously, without you, I don't know how many years would take for big publishing houses to to catch up and publish all those works that you have published, for example, by
Yeah.
now.
Or perhaps never. Anonymous pieces don't sell good. I think it's anonymous, so there is no name attached, so there is no genuine interest other than people who are interested in the music themselves for themselves.
Mhm.
But it's not very catchy, is it? Here you have a volume of anonymous compositions.
Composer, the same composer, anonymous, anonymous,
Yeah,
anonymous.
anonymous,
Wow.
anonymous, anonymous.
Last name anonymous, yeah.
Yeah.
The first name would be Johann Sebastian. Anonymous.
We can only say he did write a lot, Mr. Anonymous. That's for sure.
Mhm. Or Miss Anonymous too.
Yeah,
We
yes.
don't know. Maybe
We just don't
some
know.
women organists too.
Yeah. Could be right. We just don't know.
At least harpsichord players could have been women too. Virginal players, clavichord players, obviously.
And from later times, the sister of Mendelssohn, Fanny Hensel, she did
Yes.
write for organ as well, and I do have some copies of manuscripts. So she's coming somewhere in the future.
Good, good. I hope people listening to you now will get idea now. Maybe ladies will start transcribing to women organ composers more, right? Rediscovering today.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Um, by doing your work, Auke, do you find some new friends, some geeks, as you say, who are interested in such work?
Well, I wouldn't call you a geek, but for example, you and James, I met on the Steem platform, sorry, mispronunciation, and some email contacts via my website, as I already told you, for copies of old manuscripts.
Mm-hmm.
And the circle is small. Not a lot of people are interested in organ music, that's one, and not a lot of people are interested in those old music from the 16th or 17th century. So it's a very small circle.
But on the other hand, the smaller the circle, the bigger is the influence, the bigger the impact, right? If you were, let's say, transcribing anything for anybody, I don't know, Chopin or Rachmaninoff or some great, masters like Mozart, right? Everybody plays Mozart. Everybody knows Mozart, and it's like, and everybody's composers, but nobody will, fight over some obscure copy of Mozart anymore because it's all probably available. But with those unknown composers that you're doing, people might get really emotional and get personal on a personal deep level, right? They want new stuff from you. They contact you. They probably will ask for something done in the future, which is priceless, I think, too.
It's a bit, I'm hesitant to use the word, disappointing in this regard. I know my site gets used a lot, and I know people appreciate it. Sometimes I hear by email or a comment in one of the publications, it shows they appreciate what I do. But the amount of communication about it is very, very small. I've already published some 650 pieces, and perhaps, well, 10 or 20 have some comments with them on my website.
Mm-hmm.
I know people appreciate it, but people are not very forthcoming in saying thank you or I appreciate it. It does happen, but not as much as I would have anticipated or suspected. Or now I know I just publish it and I know people use it and I know I hardly get any feedback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is.
Do you, Auke, have a way to reach those people who use your scores?
I reach them with what I publish, and I try to generate attention for the publications I do by, well, publishing on my website, cross-posting on Steem, cross-posting on YouTube the videos,
Yes.
and on Contrebombarde.com. There's a website for houtwerk users.
Yes.
Use the software houtwerk. There I publish it as well, and well, in that way I advertise what I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I don't advertise myself. That's what I think I'm trying to say. I advertise what I do, and I hope it gets used. I'm not particularly advertising myself, and I'm not trying to generate an income from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because I think it's important for those people, for those pieces to be available, and because I just like it's a hobby. I'm not a professional organist. I'm not a professional publisher. I'm damn good as a publisher, I think. I create very graphically high-standing scores, if I may be so unmodest. But it's not a living. And I don't intend to be
but
a living.
you shouldn't be so modest because your level of playing is really good, and we can see that and testify from your videos that you create almost on a daily basis, and also as entries for Secrets of Organ Playing contest. And it has even improved, right? Your sight reading abilities has improved over the time, and you now can probably record longer pieces in 1 week, right?
Yes. Well, as you know, I played the Crepes F minor prelude last week.
Yes.
And I'm trying now, as a next installment for that contest, to play the B minor, BWV544.
Oh,
I'm trying to get that to performing level in 1 week. We'll see tomorrow whether or not I
that's the
succeed.
challenge. But
that's a challenge. It's a real challenge. Yes,
mm-hmm.
It's just surprisingly, it's not as difficult a piece as the Crepes piece.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought it's Bach. Ooh, that must be difficult. But I was surprised. I spent far more time on getting Crepes right, about 4 months, and I'm doing this one in 1 week. So I think that is because the piece is not as difficult. And well, I got a lot of training, I might say, by following your contest and get over the recording anxiety, get over the camera anxiety, get over the, people are watching, what might they think, anxiety.
Yes. Really, I remember you told me about your first video, how you had to record it many times, right? Many times you recorded the first video for our competition. Because you couldn't play without mistakes the first time and the second and the third, and now you can do much faster, right?
I can do it much faster, though I'm still not one time right. At the Kaufman last week, that was the third performance before I was satisfied. I think perhaps the first one could have entered as well, but then I'm not satisfied, articulation not right, more attention to the middle entry of the subject, that kind of thing. And I enjoy being able to think about my performances on that level. Not just getting the notes right, it's getting how's the entry, how's the articulation, is the middle voice discernible when you pay attention to it and just instead of blah, 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 play them all, play just the notes.
I think aiming for 3 runs is quite good and acceptable, because usually organists either do many takes with CD recordings and then they put together, edit, which is not entirely live performance anymore.
No.
right? It's lifeless. But if you do like 3 takes and select the best, it would be quite enough, I think, for most situations.
That's what to do. The Grapes performance last week was not errorless as well. And I played it 3 times and I posted the second. So I think that's the best one, including the mistakes.
Okay, I know you have to run right soon. So for wrapping up our conversation, could you give final word of advice to our listeners and organists from 89 countries now who want to play this music, all the music that you're publishing? What challenges they have to overcome?
The challenges they have to overcome. I think if you want to play this old music, the Renaissance, early Baroque music, think as a singer. And pay attention to all the lines, not just the soprano or the bass voice, but the middle lines as well, and sing them. That gives the best advice for where to lift your finger, where to get some little breath points. That is what, that's what I always do. I don't think it's perhaps the best way, but it's a good way to think about articulation.
Yes.
Think as a singer.
Exactly, because all that music was derived from the vocal music before, right?
Yeah.
Those ricercari were probably later versions of motets.
Probably, or perhaps they were genuine keyboard compositions, but they can be sung easily.
Yes.
The range is not too large. If they go to the little octave D, well, then you can sing it.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
Oh.
True. So think like a singer. Good advice. Okay, I'm very glad about this. And can you give our listeners a link where they can find your work online?
HTTP. What's double punt? Double point. Well, you know the familiar HTTPS and then Partitura.
Yes.
.org.
ORG probably.
ORG, yeah.
Partitura.org. And people could visit your Steem profile, right? On Steem, you are Partitura there, right?
That's Partitura as well. Yes. So there they can find what I enter on Steem, cross posts.
What about your YouTube channel? Are you also Partitura there? On YouTube?
On YouTube. Yes. I needed to think. Yes, I'm Partitura there as well.
And on Contrebombarde too?
There I'm just a nickname based on my real name, Auke Jongbloed.
Auke Jongbloed. Okay.
Auke Jongbloed. Yes.
Very easy. All right, I will put those links in our description of the conversation, and you can click and visit your work online and say hello to you, and I hope they will appreciate what you do. Thank you so much, Auke.
Thank you, Vidas, for the attention.
It was a delightful time, and I'm eager to know what you create next.
Okay, just watch.
This blog is supported by Total Organist, the most comprehensive organ training program online, where you will find courses for every area of organ playing, including technique, practice, sight reading, repertoire playing, hymn playing, improvisation, composition, music theory and harmony, with hundreds of scores and thousands of exercises. Here is what some of the students are saying.
Hugh writes, "The sight reading course has helped me tremendously. Thank you very much for your essays, courses and all your help."
Robert writes, "I found the fingerings, registration ideas and general comments to be excellent."
John writes, "I have found your download very helpful. It was really excellent. I have watched some of your teaching videos, and when I read your instructions, I tried to imagine you were teaching me. You may feel disappointed that I am 2-3 days behind, but I am a slow learner, and I have committed to taking the time to get it right, as you say. But the other night my wife commented that she had never heard me play such a detailed melody in the left hand so well. My left hand is generally poor."
Robert writes, It has been a great pleasure in my life of having discovered your courses and material as well as the YouTube work of recordings. You have a calm and pleasant way of teaching.
Ron writes, "Hi Vidas and Ausha, thank you guys. What a wonderful response to my email note to you. You've got me right, and I feel you understand my level of playing. Yes, at home, and lucky that I have an organ for that reason. I am paying attention to this, and I am going to try this haha no longer secret model. Yes, and I love Cesar Frank too. What is very nice about your blog podcast is that Ausha and Vidas are like a Socratic dialogue, and by bouncing things off of each other, so much more information comes out and is expressed. Your comments contain a wealth of information and understanding. I really appreciate this. It is very inspiring and will keep us moving forward."
Would you like to receive the same or even better results that our students are getting? If so, join them at organduo.lt/total-organist. And of course, you will get the first month free too. You can cancel anytime.
Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to receive free updates of this blog, make sure you do that at organduo.lt. By subscribing, you will also receive free video, how to master any organ composition, and 10-day organ playing mini course.
This was Vidas.
And Ausha from Secrets of Organ Playing.
And remember, when you practice,
Miracles happen.